countries are going to be more and more coerced into giving up their national currency as one of the hallmark, landmark distinctives that allow them to operate within their own national boundaries with a distinctive economic unit that is unique to their national government. And just like a passport, which is now going to be a regional passport with the ultimate intention of being a global passport, will erode the freedom of movement from national sovereignty and decisions that a nation state makes to a group of countries and even to a global body. The same thing is happening along the currency realm. We see the impasse right now to the formation of that global system essentially being between the antagonists that view multipolar versus unipolar organizations of this one world global system. Being antagonists right now, we don't think that that's a fake meme. We don't think that that's a false narrative. We think it's actual and that it is realistic, and that on one side you've got Russia, China, and other countries that are either firmly or loosely aligned with them. And then you have the United States and the United Kingdom and the European Union and a variety of countries that are united with that system. That being unipolar, dominated by the agencies and also the individuals and the organizations that dominate the United States government and the United States economy, versus multipolar, represented by these other countries. One of the things, though, that both systems have as a necessary element is the erosion of sorts of national sovereignty. Less erosion under the multipolar system, much more erosion possible under the unipolar system. And two of the signs that we see towards this erosion, of which nation states are willingly sacrificing their national sovereignty for the strengthening of regional geopolitical formations, ultimately all part of one global system. You can be certain that the push for a global government with its regional components, the global government will have regional components by necessity, and probably 8 to 10 or 12, that both of these movements require a weakening of national sovereignty relates to a distinctive and unique unitary currency, and also a weakening on the control of the movements of its citizens related to ingress and egress by an official national passport. That national passport will now, moving forward, maybe in fits and starts, maybe in leaps and bounds, but you'll see the movement that a national passport will become secondary, depending on the country, to some sort of regional or global passport, a regional passport that has global movement ramifications, or a global passport outright that will then trump a national passport, which we're all familiar with, and a multi-regional currency in some digital form, a cryptocurrency, if you will trump national sovereign currencies. And this is intended by the monetary powers that are the most powerful in the world. What's interesting is the national governments are doing this self-willingly. They're, in a sense, knowingly, and I think in many cases unknowingly, stepping down, relaxing and reducing and opening up their national sovereignty to these regional alliances and also to international bodies, knowing or somehow obtuse to the fact that this means the end of the nation state as we have known it. We're going to see within the banking industry itself, so-called, that most of the normal kind of banks that we have interfaced with as private citizens and even as professional corporations or partnerships, the banks themselves, the lower tier, which will get pretty high up actually, will be sacrificed for the new currency paradigm. But the banks that we have known and that are operating now are going to self-willingly, erase themselves at the mid and lower levels. And all that would be retained, if a given bank is retained at all, will be the very, very highest levels of the bank. The ordinary bank at the lower levels will no longer exist. The employees will no longer exist. The buildings will no longer exist. We know that the national currencies are weakening, and we know also that national control over the movement of its own citizens or subjects is also weakening and being transferred. Neither of these new systems mean that there will be more liberty or freedom for individuals when compared to the old system. There might be for some sort of intertestamental transitional period where it's chaotic. That's possible. But the larger the system in no way guarantees a freer, more liberty-filled, more religiously free, more conscious-free, more freedom of speech-free environment. The movements that we do see appear to be criminalizing dissent, as we discussed before on church and state, and that silo of the media control of traditional media and big tech media is now in place as one of the other silos to erase national sovereignty.